Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been watching this show for more years than I can count, and I must admit that the latest news about Steffi Forrester and Carter Walton has left me completely stunned. Sitting here and reflecting on their journey, I feel a deep sense of disappointment washing over me. I know many of you ladies have watched these characters grow up, just like I have, and seeing them make such a destructive choice is truly heartbreaking. Steffi has always been a strong, independent woman, and Carter has always been the moral compass of the company. To see them cross this line together makes me question everything I thought I knew about their integrity. I cannot help but wonder what was going through their minds when they allowed themselves to fall into such a devastating trap. When I think about that fateful night they shared, my heart simply aches for the inevitable fallout. I know that they were both technically single in that drunken moment, having stepped away from their respective partners, but alcohol and loneliness are a dangerous cocktail that always leads to immense regret. I feel a profound sadness knowing that they threw away their morals for a fleeting moment of comfort. It is so easy to make a mistake in the dark of the night, but the harsh light of day always brings the truth to the surface. I firmly believe that using alcohol as an excuse is a terrible way to justify betraying the people who love you the most. What truly frustrates me is watching Steffi run right back to Finn, desperately trying to give him another chance. In my opinion, she is not doing this out of a sudden realization of her deep love for him, but rather out of a suffocating guilt for what she has done with Carter. It makes me angry to see her use Finn as a safety net to cover up her own indiscretions. Finn is a good man with a pure heart, and he does not deserve to be treated as a backup plan or a shield against Steffi's guilty conscience. I predict that when Finn finally realizes he was only brought back into the fold to ease her guilt, the pain will destroy whatever is left of his trust in her. Then we have Carter Walton, a man who consistently breaks my heart with his tragic romantic choices. I have always rooted for Carter, but my patience is wearing incredibly thin. He is the chief operating officer of a global fashion empire, yet he acts like a lost, confused teenager when it comes to matters of the heart. He always seems to fall for the forbidden fruit, whether it is a married woman or someone who is deeply entangled in another relationship. I just cannot understand why a man with so much to offer constantly settles for being a secret or a mistake. Will Carter ever learn to value himself enough to find a woman who can love him openly and honestly? Adding to this tangled web is Daphne Rose, who has miraculously changed her mind and decided not to leave her husband. When I heard this, I actually groaned out loud. It is a tragic irony that both Steffi and Carter are now desperately trying to patch up their marriages while sitting on a massive, ticking time bomb. I feel a deep sense of dread for Daphne. She is choosing to stay and fight for a marriage, completely unaware that her husband has already compromised their vows with one of his closest colleagues. My heart goes out to her because I know the devastation that awaits her is going to be absolute and unforgiving. We all know that Forrester Creations is practically a glass house, and the impossibility of keeping a secret in that building is something we have witnessed for decades. I am absolutely certain that Carter and Steffi have sworn to take this drunken mistake to their graves, but secrets in Los Angeles have a funny way of echoing through the hallways. I predict that a massive, earth-shattering confrontation is going to explode before this summer vacation comes to an end. Someone is going to overhear a whispered conversation, or a guilty look is going to linger just a little too long, and the entire facade will come crashing down in the most spectacular fashion. Lurking in the shadows of all this impending misery is Brooke Logan, and her reaction is exactly what I expected, yet it still manages to infuriate me. I have watched the bitter rivalry between the Logans and the Forresters for a very long time, and I know that Brooke is secretly thrilled by Steffi's monumental fall from grace. Instead of feeling sympathy for the families that are about to be torn apart, Brooke is looking at this scandal as a golden opportunity. It is deeply unsettling to watch a mature woman eagerly await the destruction of her stepdaughter's life just to score a victory in the boardroom. How can Brooke sleep at night knowing she is cheering for a tragedy? Brooke's relentless ambition to take over the chief executive officer position is a storyline that makes my blood boil. We all know she has been coveting Steffi's crown for a long time, and Ridge has previously stood his ground, refusing to strip his daughter of her title to appease his wife. But this affair changes the entire landscape. I strongly believe that Brooke will use this scandalous affair as the ultimate ammunition to force Steffi out of the executive chair. Brooke will undoubtedly mask her greed under the guise of protecting the company's public image, and I find that level of manipulation to be incredibly distasteful. I am deeply worried about Ridge Forrester and the impossible nightmare he is about to face. He is going to be caught directly in the crossfire between his beloved daughter's disgraceful actions and his wife's opportunistic gloating. Ridge has always had a blind spot when it comes to the women in his life, but this scandal is going to force him to make an agonizing choice. I predict that the stress of managing Steffi's public relations disaster while fending off Brooke's aggressive power grab will push Ridge to his absolute breaking point. Will his marriage to Brooke survive when he realizes she is dancing on the grave of his daughter's career? The sheer hypocrisy of this entire situation at Forrester Creations is something I simply cannot ignore. For months, we have heard endless lectures about workplace dating bans and the importance of maintaining professional boundaries in the office. Yet, here we have the co-CEO and the COO breaking the very rules they are supposed to enforce. It is both amusing and disgusting to see this corporate double standard play out. I think it sends a terrible message to the rest of the staff, and Brooke will be the first one to loudly point out this hypocrisy to anyone who will listen. Beyond the characters, the real-world implications of this storyline are fascinating and deeply emotional to consider. I have been following the rumors that Jacqueline McInnes Wood might be pregnant again, and if that is true, my heart is so happy for her growing family. It makes perfect sense to me that the writers are using this massive, life-altering scandal to facilitate her upcoming maternity leave. I evaluate this as a brilliant, albeit heartbreaking narrative strategy. Once the affair is exposed and her life is in ruins, Steffi will have no choice but to take a leave of absence, fleeing the office and the judgment to hide her shame. But my thoughts always return to Finn, the innocent victim in this entire mess. When the truth finally reaches his ears, it is going to completely destroy him. He has forgiven Steffi for so much in the past, always choosing to see the best in her, but an affair with Carter, a man they all trusted, is a betrayal on a completely different level. I feel a terrible ache in my chest when I imagine the look on Finn's face the moment he realizes his wife's renewed affection was born from guilt, not love. I have to ask, is there any coming back from a betrayal this deep, or is this truly the end of their family? As we wait for the inevitable explosion, the anticipation is almost too much to bear. The tension is building with every episode, and I find myself shouting at the television screen, warning these characters of the doom they have brought upon themselves. I know that many of you ladies feel the exact same way, clutching your pearls as we watch these beautiful people make such ugly decisions. I predict that the fallout will not just be a summer spectacle, but a permanent shift in the power dynamics and relationships that define this show. In the end, I am left reflecting on the endless cycle of mistakes that plague the Forrester family. No matter how much wealth or success they achieve, they are constantly undone by their own human frailties and selfish desires. I will keep watching, just as I always have, because I care deeply about what happens to these people. I only hope that when the dust finally settles, someone in that building will have learned a lesson about loyalty, honesty, and the true cost of keeping secrets. Until then, we will just have to brace ourselves for the storm that is coming to Los Angeles.